All right, today we're going to jump right into the book of Jeremiah, specifically the first 10 verses. Think of this as the origin story for a prophet, and what an origin story it is. This moment right here, it kicks off one of the most intense, dramatic careers you'll find anywhere. And really, the whole thing hangs on this one big question. How does a divine call take a young guy, a priest, and turn him into the prophet of national judgment? I mean, how does that even happen? Well, let's dig in and find out. So the story kicks off in verse 1, and right away it grounds us. This isn't some fairy tale. We meet Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, and we're told he's one of the priests from a town called Anathoth. See, a real person, a real town. And this context is so important. As a priest, Jeremiah would have been totally immersed in the law, the traditions, the whole shebang. His hometown, Anathoth, was a Levitical town, just a stone's throw from Jerusalem. But here's the tragic irony, a bit of foreshadowing for you. This is the very town that will eventually turn its back on him. It's a heavy hint of the personal cost this calling is going to demand. Okay, so then verses 2 and 3 kind of zoom out to give us the big picture. And wow, what a picture it is. We're talking about a 40-year ministry. 40 years. Jeremiah sees the entire arc of his nation's fate. He starts out in 627 BC, when things were looking up under King Josiah's reforms. But his career stretches all the way through these terrible, corrupt kings, and he's there to witness the final, devastating destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. He literally sees it all, from hope to complete ruin. Now, verse 4 makes a point that you just can't miss. This whole mission, it wasn't Jeremiah's idea. Not at all. He didn't raise his hand, he didn't volunteer. The text is super clear. The word of the Lord came unto me. This is a divine draft, not a job application. It establishes right from the get-go that a prophet's authority comes from God and God alone. And then we get to verse 5, and wow, what God says here is just staggering. It's really the heart of this whole passage. He tells Jeremiah that his purpose, his calling, was set in stone long before he was even conceived. This isn't just random fate. It's a deliberate divine plan, something rooted in a relationship that existed before Jeremiah even did. Okay, let's unpack that for a second, because there are 3 huge ideas packed in there. First, you've got this idea of divine foreknowledge. God's plan was in place before Jeremiah was. Second, he was sanctified or set apart for this holy purpose from the very beginning. And third, get this, it has an international scope. His message isn't just for Judah, it's for the nations. So after hearing all that, how does Jeremiah react? With pure, honest-to-goodness human fear. In verse 6, he just blurts out, Lord God, I cannot speak for I am a child. And you can feel it, right? This isn't him being defiant. This is the sound of someone who feels totally and completely unprepared. He's probably a teenager, maybe early 20s, and he feels like he's drowning. It's a classic response, by the way. We see the same thing from figures like Moses and Gideon. God's answer in verse 7 is so quick and so direct. He just cuts right through the excuse. Say not, I am a child. He doesn't baby him or coddle his fear. He just completely reframes the situation. The message is crystal clear. Your age, your experience, it doesn't matter. Your authority comes from me. All you need to do is go where I send you and say what I tell you to say. Then in verse 8, God proves he knows exactly what Jeremiah is up against. He says, be not afraid of their faces. What a phrase. He knows people are going to hate him for this message. He's anticipating that intense face-to-face opposition. And he knows the biggest threat to Jeremiah's mission is going to be fear. So he gives him the one thing he needs, the ultimate promise. I am with thee to deliver thee. Now, that's not a promise that'll be easy, but it's a promise that he won't be alone. And that promise leads right into this incredibly powerful symbolic moment in verse 9. The text says God reached out his hand and touched Jeremiah's mouth. This is it. This is the commissioning. It's a physical sign that from this point forward, the words coming out of Jeremiah's mouth aren't his own anymore. God is literally putting his words in Jeremiah's mouth. He's officially God's spokesman. Finally, in verse 10, God lays out the job description. And he uses 6 very strong verbs to do it. His mission is really a 2-part deal, tear down and build up. But listen to the verbs. The focus is absolutely on the destructive side. He's told to root out, to pull down, to destroy, and to throw down. This massive demolition project is the necessary first step before anything new can even begin to grow. I mean, just do the math. It's pretty stark. 4 of those 6 verbs, that's 2/3 of his entire commission, are about tearing things down. That's his primary job. Deliver a message of judgment so severe it would completely dismantle a corrupt system. Only after all that painful work could anyone even start to think about restoration. So let's just recap. We have a young priest told he was chosen before he was even born, and then divinely empowered by God himself. And his job? To speak a devastating truth to a nation that's about to completely fall apart. It really just leaves you with one final, pretty sobering question, doesn't it? What is the real cost of a calling like that?